Life is suffering. This is a truth that manifests in every corner of existence, whether we acknowledge it or not. The weight of responsibility, the burden of expectations, the struggle against entropy. These are universal experiences, and yet there is something profound about facing this suffering voluntarily, something transformative about choosing to shoulder the weight rather than shrinking beneath it. Nowhere is this more evident than in the gym, where the iron does not lie. The barbell is an uncompromising judge, indifferent to excuses and utterly unmoved by weakness. It offers only one deal: lift, and you will grow stronger. Refuse, and you will remain exactly as you are. Or worse, deteriorate. The gym is a place where reality asserts itself with brutal honesty. Unlike the social world, where words can obscure meaning and people can deceive themselves about their capabilities, the weights are completely unerringly truthful. You cannot negotiate with them. You cannot charm them into compliance. Either you are strong enough to lift the weight, or you are not. And if you are not, there is only one way forward: improve. The gym teaches a principle that is inescapably applicable to life itself. Progress is earned, not given. When you enter the gym, you are not merely moving weights. You are engaging in a ritual of self-discipline. Every rep, every set, every moment of struggle under the bar mirrors the broader struggle of existence. The temptation to quit, the voice in your head whispering that the weight is too heavy, that you don't have the energy today, that perhaps you should just go home. This is the same voice that surfaces in everyday life when challenges arise. It is the same voice that tells you to put off difficult conversations, to avoid responsibility, to take the easy way out. But just as in life, giving in to that voice in the gym leads only to stagnation. Strength is not built through avoidance. It is built through engagement with difficulty, through willingly stepping under the weight and doing what is necessary despite the pain, despite the struggle. The gym also imposes structure, much like life itself. There is a right way to do things, and there is a wrong way. You can attempt to lift with poor form, with no plan, with reckless abandon, but the consequences will be immediate and severe. You will injure yourself. You will fail to progress. You will encounter setbacks that could have been avoided had you simply taken the time to understand the proper technique, to approach the task with respect and discipline. Life functions in precisely the same manner. If you act impulsively, without discipline, without a structured approach to your goals, you will find yourself facing failure, not because the world is unfair, but because you have failed to prepare yourself adequately for the challenges ahead. And then there is the notion of incremental improvement. No one walks into the gym on their first day and deadlifts 600 pounds. Strength is built over time through the compounding effect of consistent effort. It is easy to look at those who have achieved greatness, those who seem to lift impossibly heavy weights with ease, and assume that they are simply gifted, that they possess some innate talent that you do not. But this is a misunderstanding of how strength is developed. Those who are strong today were once weak. They simply chose not to remain that way. They showed up day after day, year after year, adding weight little by little, constantly pushing themselves slightly beyond their previous limits. And through this process, they transformed. This lesson extends far beyond the gym. No one becomes competent in life overnight, whether it is developing a skill, building a career, or improving personal relationships. Meaningful progress takes time. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to endure failure. Just as in the gym, where you must progressively overload your muscles in order to grow, in life you must continually challenge yourself in order to become more capable. Avoiding difficulty leads only to stagnation and weakness, while embracing it leads to transformation. But perhaps the most profound lesson of all is that lifting heavy weights is an act of personal responsibility. No one else can lift the weight for you. No one else can suffer in your place. If you want to grow stronger, you must bear the burden yourself. This is a fundamental truth of existence. Responsibility is the pathway to meaning. Those who refuse responsibility, who seek to avoid burdens at all costs, who wish for life to be easy rather than meaningful, ultimately find themselves weak, bitter, and resentful. But those who choose to bear the heaviest burden they can manage, who take on challenges voluntarily and strive for improvement despite the suffering involved, these are the people who forge themselves into something greater. And so when you step into the gym, you are not simply lifting weights, you are engaging in a deeply symbolic act, a microcosm of life itself. You are training your body, yes, but more importantly, you are training your mind. You are learning discipline, resilience, and the value of struggle. You are proving to yourself that you can bear a burden today that you could not bear yesterday. And in doing so, you are laying the foundation for a life of strength, both physical and psychological. Because if you can endure the suffering of the gym, if you can willingly take on the burden of the iron and emerge stronger for it, then you can take on the burdens of life itself. And that is something truly worth striving for. Greatness is not bestowed, it is earned. And it is earned through suffering, discipline, and the relentless acceptance of responsibility. The idea that one can rise to exceptional heights without a cost is a comforting illusion. But reality does not work that way. The price of greatness is steep, and only those willing to bear the burden will ever reach the summit. Those who seek to avoid difficulty, who shy away from struggle, who believe that success can be achieved without sacrifice, inevitably fall short. The truth is that greatness demands more than most are willing to give. It requires carrying a weight that grows heavier the further one progresses. And not everyone is prepared for that responsibility. The burden of greatness is first and foremost a burden of responsibility. Those who seek excellence must accept that they alone are responsible for their progress. No one will carry them to their goals. No one will do the hard work for them. The world does not owe them success, nor does it care if they fail. This is a harsh reality, but it is also a liberating one. Because if no one else is responsible for their achievements, then no one else can limit them either. The individual who understands this fully is the one who takes charge of their own destiny. They do not wait for permission to improve, nor do they make excuses when faced with obstacles. Instead, they recognize that hardship is an essential part of the journey, and they embrace it willingly. Yet the burden of greatness is not merely about hard work, it is also about isolation. Those who choose the path of excellence often find themselves alone. This is because the pursuit of greatness demands a level of commitment that most people cannot or will not match. It requires early mornings and late nights, countless hours of practice, and an unyielding dedication to improvement. While others are resting, the one who seeks greatness is working. While others are indulging in distractions, they are refining their craft. This creates a divide between them and those who choose comfort over progress. The further they ascend, the fewer people they find who truly understand their struggle. This loneliness is part of the price they must pay. Beyond isolation, there is the ever-present weight of expectation. As one rises in ability, skill, or status, so too does the demand placed upon them. When one proves themselves capable of achieving great things, others begin to expect it consistently. There is no room for complacency, no space for mediocrity. Every success sets a new standard that must be upheld. The pressure does not decrease, it intensifies. In fact, and this is where many falter, they long for the days when they were not expected to perform at such a high level, when the burden was lighter, when failure did not carry such consequences. But there is no going back. The higher one climbs, the greater the fall if they lose their grip. Then comes the pain, the physical, mental, and emotional strain of carrying a weight that only increases with time. Greatness is forged in the fire of adversity, and those who seek it must endure suffering that others cannot imagine. There will be days when exhaustion sets in, when doubt creeps into the mind, when the burden seems unbearable. The temptation to quit, to relieve oneself of the weight, will always be there. But it is in these moments that true greatness is defined. It is not the absence of struggle that makes one exceptional, but the ability to push through it. The greatest individuals in any field are not those who never struggled, but those who struggled endlessly and refused to give in. And yet, despite all of this, despite the weight of responsibility, the isolation, the relentless expectations, and the suffering, those who carry the burden of greatness do so willingly. They do not see it as a curse, but as a necessity, because to them, there is no other way. They know that the alternative, the life of comfort, of mediocrity, of unfulfilled potential, is far worse than any suffering they might endure. They understand that true fulfillment comes not from ease, but from conquering the impossible. Greatness is not for everyone, and that is precisely what makes it valuable. If it were easy, it would be meaningless. But because it is difficult, because it demands so much, it is worth pursuing. And for those who choose to bear its burden, for those who refuse to be crushed beneath the weight, there is no limit to what they can achieve. People crave comfort. It is natural to seek ease, to avoid hardship, to take the path of least resistance. But the pursuit of comfort, when placed above all else, is a trap. It lulls people into complacency, weakens their resolve, and robs them of their potential. Discipline, on the other hand, is the foundation of all achievement. It is what separates those who accomplish great things from those who merely wish they could. To choose discipline over comfort is to choose growth over stagnation, strength over weakness, and meaning over mediocrity. The problem with comfort is that it demands nothing. It asks for no sacrifice, no effort, no struggle. It offers a false sense of security, an illusion that all is well, simply because no immediate pain is present. But reality does not work that way. The person who prioritizes comfort will eventually find themselves unprepared for the inevitable challenges of life. Strength is not built in moments of ease. It is built in the moments when one pushes through difficulty, when they resist the urge to quit, when they continue forward despite discomfort. Discipline is the refusal to be controlled by fleeting desires. It is the ability to wake up early when the body begs for more sleep. It is the will to train when exhaustion sets in. It is the choice to focus when distractions are everywhere. It is the understanding that short-term discomfort is a small price to pay for long-term success. Those who master discipline do not make decisions based on how they feel in the moment. They act according to their principles, their goals, their higher purpose. This is what separates those who succeed from those who do not. The disciplined individual does not wait for motivation. They do not rely on a burst of inspiration to take action. They work when they do not feel like working. They push forward when every part of them wants to stop. And in doing so, they develop a strength that those who seek comfort will never understand. The world does not reward those who avoid hardship. It does not hand success to those who take the easy route. It rewards those who endure. It recognizes those who have suffered for their achievements, those who have sacrificed, those who have chosen to pay the price. Every great accomplishment is built on discipline. Every athlete who has reached the pinnacle of their sport has done so by rejecting comfort. Every entrepreneur who has built something meaningful has done so by embracing struggle. Every artist, every scientist, every leader, none of them achieved greatness by taking it easy. They did so by consistently showing up, by working when no one was watching, by resisting the temptation to take shortcuts. Discipline is what allows a person to take control of their life. Comfort places control in the hands of external circumstances. If a person only works when they feel like it, then they are at the mercy of their emotions, their moods, and their environment. But the disciplined individual is free. They act regardless of how they feel. They do what needs to be done, whether they want to or not. This is true power, the ability to override impulse, to prioritize long-term success over short-term pleasure. Comfort deceives people into believing they are safe, but in reality, comfort is a slow poison. The person who avoids difficulty today will find themselves unprepared for it tomorrow. The person who skips workouts because they are tired will find themselves weaker with each passing day. The person who avoids responsibility because it is uncomfortable will find themselves overwhelmed when life inevitably demands more of them. But discipline is the cure. It is the antidote to weakness, the force that transforms ordinary individuals into extraordinary ones. It is what allows people to break free from mediocrity and carve out a path of excellence. It is not easy. It never will be. But it is worth it, because the pain of discipline is temporary, while the pain of regret lasts forever. The choice is simple: comfort or discipline. One leads to decay, the other leads to greatness. And in the end, every person must decide which path they are willing to take. Life is an eternal struggle between chaos and order. These two forces define existence itself, shaping the world and the individual in ways both seen and unseen. Chaos is uncertainty, unpredictability, the realm of the unknown where danger lurks but where possibility also resides. Order is structure, stability, and the known world, a place of rules, discipline, and security. One cannot exist without the other, and the quality of a person's life is determined by how well they navigate the tension between the two. Too much chaos leads to destruction. A life without structure quickly falls apart. When there are no routines, no responsibilities, no discipline, everything begins to deteriorate. Physical health declines, the mind becomes restless, relationships break down, and meaning fades away. Chaos, left unchecked, breeds suffering. It manifests as disorder in all its forms: addiction, weakness, despair, and aimlessness. It is the person who wakes up every day with no sense of purpose, who drifts through life reacting rather than acting, who allows external circumstances to dictate their path. This is the reality of a life consumed by chaos, directionless, unstable, and ultimately self-destructive. Yet, too much order is equally dangerous. A life of complete order, where everything is predictable and controlled, is rigid, lifeless, and suffocating. A person who clings too tightly to structure, who refuses to step outside their comfort zone, becomes stagnant. Growth ceases. Creativity dies. The individual becomes trapped in a prison of their own making, unable to adapt to change, fearful of uncertainty, and resistant to new experiences. This is the danger of excessive order. It leads to a life devoid of vitality, a life where everything is planned but nothing is truly lived. The ideal state is balance. A person must have one foot in order and one foot in chaos. They must build enough structure to provide stability, yet leave enough room for uncertainty to allow growth. This balance is where life is truly meaningful. It is where challenge exists, where transformation happens, where people step beyond what they are and move toward what they could become. Consider the process of learning something new. In the beginning, it is chaotic. There is confusion, frustration, the sense of not knowing what to do. But through discipline and repeated effort, order begins to emerge. What was once overwhelming becomes manageable. The skill becomes second nature. What was once chaos is now structured knowledge. Yet, once mastery is achieved, the individual must push forward again, stepping once more into the realm of chaos by taking on a new challenge, expanding their abilities further. This cycle of moving from chaos into order and back again is the process of continuous growth. This principle applies to everything, whether it is training in the gym, developing a career, building relationships, or pursuing any meaningful goal. Growth always requires stepping into the unknown, into the discomfort of uncertainty. The individual who refuses to do so remains trapped in their current state, never improving, never evolving. But the person who willingly confronts chaos, who takes on challenges despite the fear and struggle involved, will continue to expand their capabilities. They will not remain the same person they were yesterday. They will become something more. The gym provides a perfect example of this balance. Lifting heavy weights is, in many ways, an act of ordering chaos. When a person first attempts a new lift, their body is uncoordinated, their muscles are weak, their technique is flawed, there is disorder. But through repetition, through practice, through the imposition of structured effort, they begin to refine the movement. Strength increases, technique improves, and what was once a struggle becomes effortless. The weight that once seemed impossible to lift now moves with ease. Chaos has been transformed into order. But if the individual stops there, if they refuse to push further, they stagnate. Strength plateaus, progress halts. They must once again embrace the unknown, add more weight, introduce new challenges, and willingly step back into the realm of chaos to continue growing. This is the lesson that applies to life as a whole. One cannot avoid chaos, nor should they seek to eliminate it entirely. Instead, they must learn to engage with it deliberately. They must structure their world in a way that provides stability while still allowing for challenge, uncertainty, and the pursuit of new possibilities. The greatest individuals, whether in athletics, business, art, or philosophy, are those who have mastered this balance. They impose discipline and structure upon themselves, yet they never retreat from the unknown. They willingly take on burdens beyond their current capacity, trusting that through struggle they will emerge stronger. In the end, the battle between chaos and order is the fundamental struggle of existence. The person who refuses to engage with it, who drifts aimlessly without structure or responsibility, will be consumed by disorder. The person who clings too tightly to rigid control, who fears change and uncertainty, will become stagnant. But the person who learns to walk the line between the two, who embraces challenge while maintaining discipline, who seeks growth rather than comfort, that is the person who will truly thrive. Reality is indifferent. It does not care about feelings, desires, or personal narratives. It does not bend to emotions, nor does it adjust itself to make life easier for those who struggle. Reality simply is. It operates by laws that do not change based on opinion or sentiment. Gravity pulls downward whether a person likes it or not. Hard work is required for success, regardless of whether one feels motivated. Actions have consequences, no matter how unfair they might seem. Those who refuse to accept this truth suffer the most, while those who embrace it gain control over their lives. The modern world often encourages people to prioritize feelings above all else. Comfort is valued more than resilience, and emotional validation is placed above objective truth. But feelings, while important, are unreliable guides. They shift with circumstances, they cloud judgment, and they can lead people away from what is necessary. A person may feel like skipping a workout, but reality does not care. Their body will become weaker if they avoid training. A student may feel unmotivated to study, but reality does not care. The exam will take place whether they are prepared or not. A business owner may feel discouraged, but reality does not care. If they do not put in the work, their business will fail. This harsh truth is not meant to be cruel. It is meant to be empowering. Because when a person understands that reality is indifferent, they stop expecting the world to accommodate them. They stop relying on motivation to take action. They stop waiting for the right moment to begin improving. Instead, they take responsibility for their own outcomes. They develop discipline, pushing forward even when they do not feel like it. They separate emotion from action, making decisions based on what must be done rather than what they want to do. One of the clearest demonstrations of this principle is in physical training. A person who lifts weights does not get stronger because they feel like they should. They get stronger because they repeatedly apply stress to their muscles, forcing them to adapt. It does not matter if they are tired, unmotivated, or discouraged. If they lift, they grow. If they do not, they remain the same. Reality does not care whether they felt like training. It only rewards action. This principle extends to every area of life. In relationships, it does not matter if a person feels they deserve love and respect. If they do not act in a way that cultivates meaningful connections, they will not have them. In careers, it does not matter if someone believes they are capable and talented. If they do not prove their worth through consistent effort, they will not advance. In financial matters, it does not matter if someone thinks they should be wealthy. If they do not make wise financial decisions, they will struggle. Reality does not grant rewards based on feelings. It grants rewards based on effort, competence, and persistence. This does not mean emotions are useless. They serve a purpose. They indicate internal states, highlight areas that need attention, and provide motivation when aligned with action. However, emotions should not dictate decisions. A person may feel anxious about taking a risk, but if the opportunity is worthwhile, they should take it anyway. A person may feel like procrastinating, but if success requires immediate action, they must act. A person may feel offended by criticism, but if the criticism is true, they must use it to improve. The people who achieve the most in life are those who master the ability to act despite their emotions. They do not allow fear to stop them. They do not let doubt paralyze them. They do not let temporary discomfort dictate their future. They recognize that feelings are fleeting, but the results of their actions last. This is why discipline always triumphs over motivation. Motivation is based on emotion. It comes and goes. But discipline is based on choice. It is the ability to do what must be done, regardless of feeling. Many people struggle because they believe life should be fair, that reality should accommodate them, that things should happen simply because they want them to. But reality does not care about what should be. It only reflects what is. A person who ignores this truth will constantly be frustrated, wondering why life does not conform to their wishes. But a person who accepts it gains power. They stop blaming external factors. They stop waiting for ideal circumstances. They act, they adapt, and they take full ownership of their existence. This truth may seem harsh, but it is ultimately liberating, because once a person stops expecting reality to cater to their feelings, they gain control. They understand that their success is in their hands. They recognize that struggle is part of the process. They stop looking for excuses and start looking for solutions. They face the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. And in doing so, they become strong enough to shape their own future. Life is a struggle. This is an undeniable truth, and no one escapes it. But there is a difference between those who crumble under the weight of existence and those who rise above it. The difference is not in circumstances, nor is it in luck or natural ability. It is in choice. It is in the decision to confront struggle head on, to face adversity with courage, to embrace the pain that comes with growth rather than retreat from it. This is the heroic struggle, the battle to become more than what one is, to push beyond limitations, to willingly take on burdens that would break lesser individuals. The heroic struggle is not about avoiding difficulty, it is about embracing it. Many people spend their lives trying to minimize pain, searching for the easiest path, hoping that life will somehow become effortless. But this is a delusion. No matter how much one tries to escape it, hardship will come. The question is not whether one will suffer. The question is whether that suffering will have meaning. The person who refuses to struggle still suffers, but they suffer in a way that leads to nothing. They become weak, resentful, and lost. But the person who willingly takes on struggle transforms suffering into strength. They suffer for a purpose. They fight not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. This struggle manifests in all areas of life. The athlete who pushes their body to the limits, breaking through fatigue and pain to achieve greatness, is engaged in the heroic struggle. The entrepreneur who risks everything, who works relentlessly despite failure after failure, is engaged in the heroic struggle. The person who wakes up every day and chooses to improve, even when the world seems against them, is engaged in the heroic struggle. It is not reserved for a select few. It is a path open to anyone willing to walk it. But few do because the cost is high. At the heart of the heroic struggle is responsibility. Those who take on the burden of greatness do not look for excuses. They do not blame circumstances, luck, or other people for their failures. They accept full responsibility for their actions and outcomes. They understand that while they may not control everything, they always control their response. This responsibility is heavy, but it is also the foundation of power. Because when a person takes full ownership of their life, they realize they have the ability to shape it. They stop waiting for things to change and start changing themselves. Another essential aspect of the heroic struggle is perseverance. No great journey is without obstacles. No meaningful achievement comes without setbacks. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not talent or intelligence. It is the ability to endure. The greatest individuals in history did not reach their heights because they never struggled. They reached them because they struggled and refused to quit. They were knocked down, but they stood back up. They were discouraged, but they kept moving forward. The heroic struggle is not about avoiding failure. It is about refusing to be defined by it. There is a moment in every struggle when the mind whispers, "This is too much. Stop, quit, it's not worth it." This is the test. Those who listen to that voice remain average. They retreat to safety, to comfort, to mediocrity. But those who ignore it, who push past that breaking point, who continue even when every part of them screams for relief, those are the ones who rise. The heroic struggle demands that one stands firm in the face of doubt, that one pushes through fear, that one refuses to surrender, even when surrender seems justified. Yet, struggle is not just about personal success. True heroism is found in bearing the burdens of others as well. A person who only seeks their own greatness, but ignores the suffering of those around them, is not truly strong. The highest form of the heroic struggle is taking on responsibility not just for oneself, but for family, for community, for the world. It is in standing up for what is right, in lifting others even while carrying one's own load. It is in being a source of strength, guidance, and inspiration to those who have none. This struggle will never end. There is no final victory, no point where one can say, "I have conquered all." Because the moment struggle ceases, growth ceases. The moment one becomes comfortable, they begin to decay. The heroic struggle is a lifelong commitment, a promise to never settle, to never stagnate, to always push forward, no matter how difficult the road. The choice is clear. Live a life of ease, comfort, and eventual insignificance, or embrace the struggle and become something greater. Most will choose the former. But for those who choose the latter, the rewards are beyond measure. They will find strength they never knew they had. They will accomplish what once seemed impossible. And in the end, they will know that they did not merely exist. They fought, they endured, and they truly lived.